Hello, everybody, and we are back for another Monday. We are here for Where's Your Heart, championing vulnerability as a core human strength. Hello, Royce.
Good morning. No, good morning.
Good morning.
There's where my brain is. There you go.
It's not morning, Royce. Not morning.
Well, it could be if you believe Teresa.
Well, if it was, I might still be in bed. So, so that's how
Also
we know.
a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good today.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Been experimenting with all my new equipment, and it's been so much fun.
All right. Favorite parts.
So I have to say, okay, I went and purchased these headphones are just, I think there's even a chance they're too cushiony, but I'm really liking them. But the mic, okay, so the mic is actually just sitting on my desk because I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how this thing works. And so, yeah, I'm just not going to use it right now.
Just put that back down here.
I'll just experiment with that later this week. But it's doing its thing, so it's good right here.
It'll work.
I also got my nifty little loop light thingy that I use I can put my camera on, and
All right. So the lighting is really good because it's not even giving off hot spots. That's pretty cool.
Nope. I'm just like, this is what it's like. This is what it's like when things are good. Oh,
see,
my goodness.
I have to be careful with my glasses. I probably shouldn't be wearing the damn things, but otherwise I can't see faces out here.
Oh goodness. So yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I have to say, that will probably be my gratitude for this week. That's what.
Oh, you just started. You're gonna go.
Yeah,
go.
Yeah.
So
Since I already started this, I'm gonna go ahead and go with our gratitude. Funny enough for me, I had a big problem with the stimulus money when it first started coming out, and it just grant and having a hard time like coming to grips with it's there, that money is there, you should get it and you can use it for something. And my whole thing was, I'm always that person like, no, if I'm not hustling for it, then I feel like I didn't deserve it. It's a ridiculous thought.
You've been brainwashed by the white boys.
Oh my goodness, so bad. So pretty much when I got to the point that I was like, yeah, especially this new grant that's coming out, the Shutter Venue grant, which I'm waiting to hear if I get that. I mean, I realized that the pandemic, it shut me down like that. I mean, I couldn't do any events. I couldn't do anything entertainment wise. So as this money was coming in, I really started thinking to myself, okay, what is the best way to apply this? And I realized that for me, I needed to start looking at, paying down debt and really getting back to square one in the sense of financially. So I've been doing that, working on my credit, paying down my debt, and also just building up my arsenal for work, because I need this stuff. I need it. Yeah. Yes, they're toys and they're fun to play with, but they're needed. So,
I was going to say, like, the clarity of your voice now is so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was wondering too. I almost messaged you this morning, be like, Royce, get on StreamYard. I'm going to try it out now. But I was patient and I waited. So yeah, I would have to say my gratitude is definitely having those grants and stimulus money come in, and the kids benefited from it, and so yeah, I'm definitely grateful for that.
Yay! Love it.
Yep. So how about you?
I'm grateful for new t-shirts.
I feel it. I'm feeling this.
This one, I saw this on Facebook. Feminism is my second favorite F word. And I was like, that's so fucking me. Oh my God. Like, we all know what my first one is. So I was like, yes. And the same company that makes it, this company sponsors women and women of color in their endeavors. I was like, okay, so now you're hitting that button too. God damn it. And ended up with another shirt too that said, sounds gay, I'm in. It was like, yes, I need all of these. So they had like 8 more, and I was like, no, just 2. 2's plenty. So I'm a sucker for t-shirts. There you go. That's the
so I'm grateful for t-shirts.
Yes.
My youngest I think he was almost embarrassed when I took him to school this morning. He stayed with us. He stayed with me over the weekend, and I took him to school this morning. And I was wearing my Todrick Hall shirt that says "You got the wrong bitch," and he was like, "Mom, you can't wear that to school." That's
oh yes, I can.
And I was like, "Look, I'll just roll up this part that it covers bitch, and then everything will be okay." And that's how I walked into school. I was like. And they were like, "Oh, no, you don't need to sign them in. We'll take." I was like, "Okay, great." And then I just walked back to my car, rolled it back down, and got in the car and left. I tell you, that shirt knocks people out when I go to Walmart. Like, they looking at that, they're like, "Yeah." So I got the right shirt.
Damn the Puritans. That's all I got to say about that shit.
So I will say we gotta do our whole blast here because we always forget to do this.
Oh.
Yes,
no, we only forgot once, and we remembered at the end.
That's true, but we want to say we are grateful for our subscribers and looking to build up that base. So while we are here today, please remember to click the like button and subscribe so you know what's coming up, and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live.
When did you come up with the graphic too? Look at this.
That's right. I was busy.
Yeah. Damn.
I was busy. So yeah, yay me.
Yeah. I love it.
Getting back into the swing of organization and working on projects, and it's amazing how much you lose when you're not doing anything, when you can't do anything. I really didn't utilize the time to know.
I mean, okay, but what's different now for you? Like what? Yeah.
What's different now? I don't know.
Personally.
It was a switch. Like I said, when everything went down with COVID, and I fought for weeks that I was just kind of like, even though I had the governor saying, no, we can't have large events. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about because I have events planned this week. So
so we're having that
doesn't work for me. So I'm going to have it. And I was like, oh, that's an actual. Oh, okay. So I tried to come up with every possible scenario that I could still do what I do. And it just, so yeah, it felt like the first few months, I'll be honest, I went into a depression because I had no idea how to handle it. And then I came out of that and really looked at, okay, I have the other business, and that evolved to the Bliss Effect. And it really caused me to sit down and look at what I want to do. I mean, that's pretty much what it led to, is like, okay, you have this downtime. So use this downtime to try to figure out what you want to do when things like come back up. And I mean, it led to knowing that I wanted to really have collaboration be the word of the day every day, that I wanted to work with people that were in the same mindset of goals and drive and just everything that I was, because I know if I'm working with a person like me, we're both going to kick ass every day. It's all about like just working hard every day. And so that's just been building. And I think part of it also is I don't think I really have focused on this, but my oldest son is getting his own place. He's moving out.
Oh.
I can only deal with one thing. Like, I knew we were doing the Surviving Divorce show, and I was like, I can only handle one thing. So I don't think it's sunk in.
Yeah.
But it did kick some stuff into overdrive that while I could sit and go, oh my God, what happened? What happened in 19 years? Like, how did you become 19? I decided that I needed to make sure that I was doing whatever I could that was possible to, help him get ready for being on his own. So, preparing him for what he should know when it comes to expenses and setting up a savings account and just getting all that stuff ready. So doing that has really even pushed me further to really focus on what I want to do. So, yep, that was it.
I was gonna say, I mean, the business that I see you doing has some of the hallmarks that it did before COVID, but it feels new, and it feels more Teresa, which is pretty spectacular.
I'm glad to hear that, because I'll be honest, I kind of was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm feeling like I do now.
We got to say hi to Jason.
Hey, Jason!
I love it.
Yep. Jason, I bet we'll have lots of comments to share this evening as
Oh.
well. Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And with that, I'm just going to go ahead because we told him that we wouldn't talk long, and I think we're doing okay.
Right.
But let's get to it.
Let's get to it
and talk about this week's topic, which was one that I think we both can relate to, which is interesting. I feel like there's topics we can agree or disagree on, but this feels like the first topic we're doing on the show
where both of us are in it.
Yeah.
Both of us gonna be triggered. That's what's really being said here.
I mean, goodness, you and my best friend M, and there's been a lot of gurus for me with my divorce. Just asking the question, almost even asking like, give me worst case scenario so I could be prepared. And the more I'm going through it, it's like you just can't be. There's too many landmines that come up that you have no idea.
There's endless creativity in stupid behavior.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean, that's just a fact.
Exactly. So we brought on 3 amazing people to sit down with us and discuss surviving divorce, and we're going to see how this goes. So we'll start with our first guest, Susan Cintra. She's a high school English teacher in Richmond, Kentucky. She's the mother of 3 children, all of them entering different phases of puberty. Oh, lovely. And she was married for 18 years. Most of her downtime, is non-existent. So she rarely sleeps. Oh, I feel you. And fights for her students, her teachers, and public education while attempting to figure out this co-parenting thing and raise the amazing kids she has. So welcome, Susan.
Yay!
Hi, Susan.
Hi, how are you all?
Good. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Our second guest is a New Mexico native, owns Schoder Media and a public relations and e-commerce company. His new product, AlbuquerqueSocialMedia.com, is a product meant for the small to medium-sized businesses who want to offer or who want a cost-effective way to manage their own social media and reputation management. Oh boy, that's a thing. All right, his second business is M's Card and Collectibles. Web address for that is markscollect.com, and that's Mark with a C. Is an online collectibles shop that specializes in sports collectibles, autographs, and vintage items. Mark's a graduate of Eastern New Mexico University in Portales, New Mexico, with a degree in communication with an emphasis in public relations. His work has appeared in 5 different newspapers in New Mexico and online publications. Let's get Mark out here.
Clicking.
There he is. Mark. Are you going to patent that face?
Oh, there I am. Hey.
I see that face.
I was late on the click. He's all, here's Mark. And I was like, oh, wait, I got to do that thing. Okay.
I could have clicked. I'm sorry.
I got it done. Okay. And our final guest for this evening is Christina Gonzalez. Why am I saying that? I love live. Christina Garcia is a proud first-generation Filipina mama to a spunky 4-year-old boy who we got to listen to as we were talking earlier.
I thought it wasn't her munchkin.
It was her munchkin.
Oh, was it? Okay.
And she has made Veggie Tales her most listened to Spotify playlist. She is a Scorpio.
Larry the Cucumber fan right here.
Oh, God. I barely learned what,
Dude, silly songs with Larry. Songs with Larry all goddamn day long. My kids still sing that shit. They're 20 and 22.
Oh my gosh. Well, she's a Scorpio who is not afraid to dive deep into shadow work, but also is known to bust out and dance in random public places. She is an NICU. I'm so used to saying NICU. Spelling it out makes it. A NICU nurse by trade, spiritual life coach, and your ultimate hype girl who lives by the motto, when you win, I win. So we are here with Miss Christina. Yay! Oh, this is going to be so much fun.
It is.
So I actually want to start by asking you guys, because this is going to be a heavy topic. So I'm actually going to ask.
All right, before we start then, we got to say hi to Jason. He says, thanks for the shout out, guys. I'll be watching, listening while making dinner.
Lucky.
And I'm going to put in a request right now that we go visit.
Yeah.
That's how we're concluding the show tonight.
Yes.
Sorry. Continue, Teresa. You're doing actual show things.
Oh, yes, I'm actually doing show things. Okay, so I actually wanted to start because I know this is going to be a heavy show. I'm sure we'll have funny moments, but we are
as
talking
we all
divorce.
laugh uncomfortably.
Exactly. But I wanted to start by asking, as we start with gratitude with the show, I wanted to start by asking what you guys are grateful for before we begin.
Ooh, grateful for about the divorce, or just
just grateful in general.
Okay.
Just grateful in general. So, Susan, I'll start with you.
All right. Well, let's see. We're actually working, so I teach high school English, and I've been doing gratitude journals with my students. So that's part of their final. They have to do these gratitude journals. So being really intentional and focused on being grateful, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for taking time to be intentional, to be grateful, if that makes sense. Each night we write down 3 different things that we're grateful for. And so, I haven't thought about what it is today. Probably yesterday, I think it was just the sheer fact that we got a bark collar for the dog, and that little asshole is not.
The little things. The little things.
Yeah, I'm going to take that. That's a win for me.
And I have to notice again, so the last time Susan was on, for those of you who've watched the show since the beginning, Susan was on back in August on the back to school episode. But I'm so grateful for the way you teach, that you do this with your students, that it's not just an assignment that you give to them. Thank you on behalf of all of us who struggled in school.
You're welcome.
There's some comfort there. Thank you.
To that point, I'm also grateful that we have 2 weeks left of school. So
also true. Yeah. Gives you 2 weeks to clean the paint off the floor.
Exactly. You're not behind.
So how about you, Mark? What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for the fact that my clients are keeping me busy right now, especially during this wonderful thing we like to call COVID. Last year, when COVID first hit, we're like, okay. And then I realized, got to write an e-commerce plan. And I wrote an e-commerce plan, was selling it to people. And lo and behold, it took 6 months, but people were like, oh, remember that e-commerce plan you wrote? I want to talk about it. But nobody wanted to talk about it at first. They're like, oh, this will blow over. And I kind of was like, you're full of it. But okay.
What about you, Christina?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, I'm very grateful for oxygen, because breathing is your friend. I've been feeling super overwhelmed with just everything that I have on my plate right now. So thank you, O2, for keeping these lungs going and my body alive. Also really grateful every day just for support and connection in my life. I think without those 2 things, I could not do what I do every day. And I have such a beautiful support system, in my partner. I know we're going to get into dating after divorce, but in my partner, in my son, just everything, and everything outside of that, in my community that I have built outside of my home. And so that is something that I hold very dear and near to my heart, because it matters so much to me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
All righty. Everybody take a deep breath.
Well, okay. So on that front, first we got 2 more comments. We got to say hi to Jason. He says it's hamburger helper night. I'm in.
God, I love hamburger.
I'm with hamburger helper every Monday when I listen to you all. It's the thing.
Oh
my gosh.
Hamburger helper.
We should get a
hamburger helper.
Here's sponsorship coming.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Do that.
Yeah.
We got to also say hi to Fiona.
Hi,
hey, beautiful
Fiona.
people. Thank you, my friend.
So we're going to go ahead and, as we told our guests earlier, we kind of planned for this because it could go really good or off the rails.
So before we dive in though, like there was just something that just the breath thing and before the show, during our little preview and, you know, talking together and learning how to, you know, how's this little pack going to work, it got mentioned that we're nervous about this show, that there's something fundamentally different about this. Does anybody want to talk about that right off the bat? Like that there's something different about this compared to like presenting something.
I'll drop in on that. The my kid, my daughter, she's like my former student daughter / person. Whenever we talk about this, she calls it the V word. And I always think of like, I'm like, what's wrong with your vagina? I don't understand. But it's vulnerability. It's like literally, and I can talk to anybody about anything, but this makes me a little nervous. This is being vulnerable and open. And yeah, see, Shayla, that's her. She just ha-ha'd it.
So first off, I want like hats off to Shayla for like, being able to name that vulnerability isn't always comfortable. Yeah. It's huge. I wish I'd learned about that much younger. Like I didn't learn about it till my mid-30s. So yeah.
Oh yay, vulnerability. Still learning it.
Yes, thank you, Brene Brown, for putting us on.
Oh,
she is the queen of vulnerability, baby.
Still sitting right next to me.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Y'all.
I've got Rising Strong. I haven't read that one yet.
Oh, it's the best.
God, she is
plus this
queen.
one too. Throw this one in the mix.
Yep, so good.
Yeah,
so good.
So I was just talking with a client today about daring greatly. I was like, this one's But anyway, okay, we're doing things. Teresa, you have actual preparation that was done. Okay, go. Sorry.
So I'm going to start by asking, when did you realize that there was something wrong in the marriage and that it couldn't be fixed? Who wants to start? I love how everybody's thinking. I'm gonna pop up okay, Susan.
Okay. I think like in honesty, when I reflect on it and when I look back and think about when I'm being totally honest with myself, probably after my third baby was born and she's 8. So it was probably had a moment then when I realized that there wasn't much more I could get from this or be with this, and I'm with a baby at the time. And so I think that when I'm honest with myself, probably then, and then I probably buried that for the next 8 years, and then let that finally resurface and mull it over. And that's, I think, when I knew. And I don't know that I can't recall what the exact moment was, or I just think there was a sense of maybe clarity that started to present itself that took a while to manifest and come to fruition and to accept. I think that's been the hardest thing, is to accept what maybe you knew but weren't ready to accept, and like buried deep inside of you, potentially. Yeah.
I was feeling a lot of stuff. I was feeling a lot of stuff that you were saying there, because I mean, I actually know the moment. I think there was different levels for me. For me, it was a sense of one. I think it's the acceptance. So there was like something's not right, and I knew that I needed to get out of the marriage, but I couldn't say the words I want a divorce, and that went on for 10 years. And then the moment that I knew, something's not right, was once again having another fight about finances and getting a job, and I can't do this on my own. And it was this loop that we were in. Yeah. And he came into our room, and I thought, oh my gosh, he understood what I was saying, and this is going to be different. And he sat down on the bed and he said, I'm your husband, and I'm asking questions that I feel you shouldn't get defensive about. And I feel if your business isn't making enough money, we need to figure out how your business can make more money.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And I was able that night to say I want a divorce. I knew that it was time. It was time after that.
Got to go with what's more loyal to you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christina or Mark, you got a thought on this one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go, Mark. No, go for it, boo. Yeah.
Well, when I was going through my divorce, I was the textbook definition of going through the stages of grief. Going through. I mean, yeah, there were a few points where I noticed, and I'm going like, no, this can't be. And did I deny it? Oh yeah, I did. I went through even to this day, I will, there'll be times where I will go through those stages of grieving, but my gut reaction is to always crack a joke about it. Because I never really, did I want to deal with it? Yeah. And I think I've dealt with it, but I had to look at it from the other side of it. I think she was just happy to be married. And then she realized that I wasn't what she needed, and she tossed me out like a tissue rag, basically.
Yeah.
And the way she told me she wanted the divorce, it was like, I came home from work one night. Her parents' car was parked in on the street. And I'm like, this isn't weird. Okay, what's going on? And then, boom, dropped the bomb. I want a divorce. Get out.
Wow. There was no sign for you that you did. I mean, you obviously.
As I reflect back on it now, I probably saw a little bit, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. Was that a mistake on my part? Yes. Do I regret it? No. Once she said she wanted a divorce, I basically just picked up the phone and looked for a lawyer. And that for two people who didn't have kids, the divorce dragged on 6 months.
Wow.
It was fight over money. It was fight over royalties. Basically, I'm a writer, and she wanted my royalties. And I was like, no. And then all of a sudden, basically what I did is I took my lawyer's advice, stopped doing a lot of different things at that point. And then when she realized the balance sheet almost showed zero, she didn't want him anymore. But I told him, I said, after the divorce is finalized, we'll pick up from where we left off. I mean, I sat there literally for 4.5 hours in a lawyer's office. And, to tell you how long ago this was, I was sitting on my BlackBerry and,
wow.
And I was just doing business and talking to being supportive and whatnot. And, and my divorce lawyer was a shark. Thank God.
What about you, Christina?
Yeah, I feel like what's coming up for me, two things. I think something you said that triggered me, Teresa, was when he came in and put the responsibility on you about, how are you going to do that, instead of him taking or being responsible, right? Because there's levels of responsibility, and taking responsibility is definitely not the same thing as being responsible. And I can't even imagine like what that feels like, to feel all the weight is on you. Yeah. And then with what Mark was saying, when it comes to like the grieving process, I don't know that any of us that go through a divorce will ever be over a grieving process, because, we've been, at least personally, I can speak from my experience. And it's like, I've only been recently divorced since 2020. And even then, it's like you picture your life with someone, whether you've been with them for a year or 15 or 20 plus, you have an envisioned idea of what that looks like for you and your family. And the last thing you want to do is break up your family. It's like the last thing. And I don't know if it's, as a mother, like that feels like I already have mom guilt as it is on a normal basis. Okay. And then you put the responsibility of knowing that I'm making a decision to break up this marriage because it's not working. And it's fully going hard and entrusting yourself in that. So the grievance process that Marc was talking about that you go through over and over again, it just doesn't ever go away. And especially, you know, when they start moving on and doing all those things, I think it's something that you confront, you know, and it's part of your reality. And I think the resilience you build in that is what makes it so real. It makes it so real. And if anything, I think if it's even more powerful to stand in your truth when something's not aligning with you, even if that means breaking up your family, because what is it teaching your children? In my opinion, for me, I didn't want my son to see me unhappy because kids feel it, right? Kids know, like they can be 2, they can be 15, like they know the energy and they know their parents. And the last thing that I wanted was for my son to see me settling or unhappy and think that that's what a relationship was supposed to be like, and that it wasn't okay to trust himself, because I want to be fully in trust of who I am, even if it doesn't make sense and I don't know the outcome, so that when a day comes that he's in question for himself and trusting himself, I can say, yo, mama did not know what this looked like, but look where we are now. And I would not take that back. And we talked about regret. Someone brought up regret just now. And I mean, I would not regret the decision for anything in the world.
Before I make this comment, I wanted to share, Jason shared humor is the best medicine. I have to say laughter helped a lot with that. You know, you brought up something. I mean, through the divorce, I ended up going to seek counseling after the decision was made.
That's when mine started.
Yeah, I realized that and oh man, I wish I could have handled some things differently, but I knew in the situation that I was in that I was going to be the bad guy regardless. I had to make the decision that, one, I knew, okay, we're in this loop and this isn't healthy. And this has now been going on for almost 20 years. And like, this isn't good. I need to step away from this environment and figure things out. So I made the decision to be the bad guy. And the kids were left with their father to take on that emotion and see that grieving and whatnot. But on their end with me, I still had to work. I still had to go do TV appearances, and that's what they're seeing. So they're thinking, well, you're not feeling bad about this happening. And they finally told me. And, you know, I went to counseling, found out that that the counselor had to explain, because I was like, I feel awful, but I mean, I know I will, because it's a divorce, but it's just, I'm feeling this like pain. And she's like, you realize this is similar to like losing somebody, like a death, right?
Yeah, just to be clear, divorce on the trauma scale is second only to the violent, unexpected death of a loved one.
Yep.
Because it has to do with, I mean, it threatens your food, water, shelter, and meaningful social interaction, the highly agreed upon 4 basic needs of a human animal. Like all of them are in question in a divorce. So when you look at the trauma level of a divorce, it's like literally only the violent, unexpected death of a loved one is expected to be worse. So,
and strangely enough, I did it twice because we actually reconciled 6 months before we realized, but I thought we were both on the same field. So when we knew it wasn't going to work, I thought, okay, well, we're going to grieve again. Well, I find out later he moved on. He moved on. So I was left to grieve and kind of deal with new things coming on my own. But the biggest thing that I realized is through all of this and through counseling that I became an enabler. That was my biggest problem with the marriage, is that I looked at my parents' marriage. They were married until my father passed. And I mean, it just seemed like they were there for each other to make each other happy. If one was down, the other one was lifting him up. It was that kind of situation. And so I thought, well, that's what you do as a wife. And when he kept complaining, like, I don't like work, I want to stay home. And I'm like, well, if that makes you feel better, okay. And I just it would go on and on and on. And when I realized, okay, yeah, that's not good. And it's interesting that you said, Christina, that you didn't want your kids seeing that. I mean, they saw it for years. And that's when I was finding, like, this is not a good example to set for kids. I don't want them to think that a marriage consists of one person doing the heavy lifting to keep everything afloat. And, I'm glad he went to counseling too. One of the things he apologized, not recognizing that the last 5 years of our marriage, I was in a depression. But he also said that he realized that I know why you had to leave, because I mean, frankly, I wouldn't have, because if, I figured if we were both miserable together, it's better that we were together than apart. And I was both hurt and angry with that statement, because I'm like, I took this big step of being the bad person.
Yeah. And
you were just like, yeah, well, I wasn't going to do it. I mean, it was like one of them. And there's a lot of hurtful statements that happened during this divorce, but that was one that I just couldn't imagine him saying. I never thought I would hear him say that.
Yeah.
I think this stuff with what you're talking about with like the kids and the guilt, that triggers me quite a bit, because I've got all that guilt. And like, you weren't an enabler, or you were an enabler, but I realized I think I was an enabler through control. I got to, my ex-husband was from Brazil. So when he came here, like, he didn't know anything about being here. And I was 21, and this, sexy, like, interesting man from somewhere else was here, and like, I could help him, and like, I help people. So like, it turned into this thing that I didn't realize then, but was a control factor on me, and me utilizing my control over him. And then it turned into me constantly being enabled, and then essentially being devalued maybe, and not true to who I am. And I didn't want my kids to see that. And my kids don't understand that now, and they're not going to. And that guilt rears its head constantly. Just the other day we were hiking, and one of my daughters said, well, you were the one that decided to leave. And like, she's never salty. Like, she's like the sweet, like, a little salty. And I was like, oh, well, let's walk through that one, but like, that kind of kills you a little bit whenever that happens. But what Christina said is, so many people have, a woman that I love dearly, she said, like, I don't know that I would have done it. Like, I don't know, I may have waited until the kids were out of the house to do it. And like, I kept, like, that was always in the back of my head, but like, I don't want my kids to be in a marriage, or to see a marriage that's not what it should be, to not see like someone, like, true, authentic love together. And not that I didn't love him, not that I don't love him, because I still do. I think you're always going to, and that's okay. But I want them to see me and him being strong for them, and putting the best of both of us forward, and doing what we were doing, like, wasn't truthful. It wasn't honest to who we need to be and who I wanted them to fight for. And the worst part, I think, or the hardest part, is that as much as they love us and we're working on this doing it together thing, and that's a whole other story, but like, they don't get it. They're not going to get it, and they're not going to get it until they're much older than what they are right now.
Yeah,
it's not their job to get it. It's not their job to get it. Like, it's one of the challenges, I think, of
this is what he told me.
Parents.
This is what he had to tell me.
of parenting through these things is often like we just as parents, we have to stand in that place of responsibility, because it's just not appropriate for the kids to do that. Like it's not their job, and it sucks because of exactly what you just said, and then all the twisting that can happen. I mean, I can honestly say I was in my 10-year relationship 10 years too long. I knew something was off the second she was suddenly pregnant when she was supposedly on birth control. Come to find out later that she made a comment to my sister that was on purpose. But I wasn't going to walk away once, my biggest error in all that was knowing that the courts do favor women in divorce processes. And I love my children. I'm glad they're 20 and 22 now. That's fun. They're not keeping me up at night anymore. This damn new puppy is. But it very much is, their birth mom, she met her birth dad in her 40s. And I was not going to be that. Like I was like, no, if this child is going to be on the earth, I'm going to be involved in helping them become who they want to be. And so that was painful because it was 10 years of, I kind of knew that something was fundamentally flawed in the relationship and that I was staying because I was afraid that I would never see my children again. So that was awful and not good. Like it was, there was a bunch wrong there and a bunch wrong on my part. Like I'm really grateful to have gotten started into therapy in that process. Cause the second I stopped enabling some of the emotional blackmail in the relationship, you talk about enabling, Teresa. Yeah. That's when the affair started and that's when the exit happened. It's awful.
Wow.
And here I am laughing. Yeah. God damn it. I was the one to do it, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's all going to help you out. Jake said, so Royce is correct. The system favors the mom over the dad so much more.
Yep.
That's true.
Statistically, and that was in California at the time. And it still was true even in California.
Wow.
I will say that I think that because I hear that totally. And I think that, and I'm fortunate because I know a lot of people aren't like this, but like our divorce was relatively peaceful. I mean, it still sucked. And I mean, it's fresh. It happened in September, but like, it's like I make it a point to make sure that he gets time with him, that he has that relationship.
This is what I wanted the divorce to be like. Like we were doing nesting at first. Yeah. Because it just like anything to make it better for the kids. Like that was my focus. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah.
Susan, but I'm so jealous that you're getting to do a good divorce.
I mean, it's not perfect.
No, it never is. But.
No, and it's hard. But like, I mean, we're trying to do that, and the kids even like summer is coming up, so this will be the first summer of this divorce thing. So already questions. My son is 14 and he can work with his dad and make money. And so he's like, I'm going to live with him this summer. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not going to live with him this summer. And he's like, let him live with me. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So, and then there's this whole, like, I've got a boy and 2 girls. There's a whole thing about raising a boy that's like, my ex-husband is not like the alpha male anyway. So it's like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And, that's really, really hard, but like that trying to, I don't know, that shit's really hard trying to.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, gender dynamics are first off, gender's fucking stupid anyway, but there's consequences to that stupidity and it gets played out in our homes and it's awful. Yeah. And then the second you introduce a divorce into it, so there's a rupture in the system that everyone gets to point to and blame and has pain from. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's awful. It only gets worse as the teenage years happen.
Yeah. What the hell is that? What the hell is middle school? What the hell?
Oh boy.
Oh yay.
Just survive it. Christine, you haven't said anything in a while. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm resonating with so much of this. Something I think it was you, Teresa, or maybe it was Susan that said about waiting until your kids are grown. And I remember that exact thought in my mind, thinking like, I'll just wait till my son is 18 and then go from there. And I was like, that's 15 years. Yep. 15 years. And I was like, gosh, there's no way. There's just no way that I can go through that. And then so it's just, there's just so many dynamics to the layers. And I love that Susan brings up, peaceful co-parenting, or trying your best to make it as peaceful as possible for the kids. Mm-hmm. And that was my MO since day one. And I endured a lot of emotional abuse, and same thing, risking. I think, Royce, you were saying how like you were so scared to not be able to see your kids again if you took the wrong step. And I knew my ex was so reactive, and he just did not know how to process his emotions, which was part of our disconnect. It's just, there was no connection emotionally, and I'm very emotional. So like the support, as I said, I was grateful for.
Come on, Christina, you're so flat. Let's
no emotion,
none.
So I just feel like I absolutely resonate with that. And the idea of not having my son, and what I was willing to go through to get to a place where we could be peaceful. I just knew that he was hurt, and the saying goes like, hurt people. Yep. And at that time, it's like there were a lot of hurtful things being said, and a lot of threats being made about my son, and how I wasn't, if I didn't do this, and he would fight for the higher percentage of seeing my son, knowing damn well I was not going to let that happen, knowing damn well that was my weak spot. And so it was just like a lot of that like really tugged at my heartstrings, and I was really willing to endure whatever I had to get to where I am now. And honestly, like Susan, like the co-parenting part, I don't regret that either. Like, again, it's like no regrets, right? But like, I'm so grateful I endured it, because to be where we are now, like Easter was the first time that we were able to celebrate a holiday with his partner, with my partner, and we just had an Easter egg hug. It was very short-lived. We weren't like talking about all the things,
So it's not kumbaya.
It's not like the meditation circle of kumbaya, but it was just the fact that we were able to see differences and like rise above it for the sake of our son, and just see him happy. Because there's nothing I want him more than to know that he is loved. And just because his dad and I did not see eye to eye, and we've changed along the way, that our love for him has changed in any way. And I think that is something through the divorce that we were successful at, which
way to go.
So being that you are bringing up, you brought up partners, and so I want to touch on that. How did you handle that aspect when the time came, either if it's on your end or the other person's end, when it came to dating?
I'm curious with Marc here, because we've spent a lot of time talking about kids here. Marc, like, what was it like when you or your ex started dating?
Well, my ex started dating before the divorce was finalized. The only reason that I knew is because a good friend of mine caught it on an iPhone. Since New Mexico is a no-fault state, I couldn't use it. It was then I really knew it was done, because I just was like, no, this is not it, and most of my time I buried myself in my work. Is that a good thing? Kind of. But overall, I mean, divorce is an ugly human experience. Kids, no kids, anything. It's just, it even talking about it, I'm just sitting here kind of going, I don't think I've talked about it this in depth in many years. And that's part of the reason why I took the opportunity to come on here. Because I mean, there is life after divorce. There really is. I found it in my business. I found it in family. I found it in, just finding more of myself.
Yeah.
And and that was really the big key, is basically, okay, I don't have any kids with the ex-wife. Thank God.
I always thought about that. Oh my God, this would be so much easier if I didn't have kids.
Well, but the thing is that it was almost like my divorce from my ex-wife was, it was a multi-million-dollar divorce, and I can damn near tell you it wasn't.
Wow.
But she was acting like it. It was just like, I mean, it was brutal. I think in the last 10 years, I have run into her accidentally once. The funny thing is I didn't realize who the hell she was.
Wow.
And Albuquerque's not that big, and for you to
know, right?
almost once, that's a blessing.
There's like 1 degree separation here.
Okay, but hold on a sec. Let me kind of give you a little context. The thing was I was living in the foothills of Albuquerque, and there's the one Walmart that was off of Eubank.
Oh my gosh.
My ex-wife lived off of Eubank. And I just didn't even think about it. She recognized me, but it took me until I saw her running out of the store that I was like, oh shit, oh fuck.
Wow.
And I just didn't even think about it.
Didn't process it.
I mean, I think I had her, she was very emotionally abusive. This is what I've come to kind of find in years after. And, basically, I had to sit, I went and got protection, got a TRO. Her lawyer threw a fit because it would jeopardize her security clearance. Oops. And basically my lawyer sat there for 6 hours talking me out of doing the restraining order.
Damn.
Do I fear that I will run into her? No, I live out in Rio Rancho now.
Like that won't happen.
Susan, this is very Albuquerque. Apologize.
I'm thinking of like deserts. I don't know anything.
That's exactly what it is.
Rio Rancho is a suburb.
Exactly what it is.
Okay.
think a good 30-minute drive from where
from the center of town.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll give you an idea. But it was, I mean, like when I saw on Facebook, Teresa was going through hers, and I just, I felt for her. I mean, I just was like, ooh, that's gonna hurt. But the thing is that I could sit there and tell her, you will come out on the other side of this. And you have. And you're a...
I feel like I do. There's moments that I'm like, I'm done. And then something happens. But yeah, and that's what I'm learning. And, it's interesting that you brought up that, she started dating before the divorce was over. And that was one of the things I learned what rage was in this process. Like, I've heard the word. I know.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's actually a good word that I had quite a bit.
Yeah. I learned what rage was, but I never ever felt it until, I knew honestly that he was going to date. I knew the time would come. I knew the time would come that was going to happen. And we were actually separated for almost a year and a half. So I knew it was coming. I think my issue was that, well, one, I thought we were on the same I thought we were on the same place when we decided the divorce was over. That obviously wasn't the case. But in handling the dating, I mean, it's our youngest is severe ADHD. Change for him is extremely difficult. He has to handle like one change thing at a time. So he was already handling us getting a divorce. By the time he was dating this person, he was already discussing them sitting down and meeting the kids. Ooh. I was informed they were only together for 1 week. They decided to be exclusive after dating for a week. To each his own. But there was
way too soon.
So I'm just kind of like, it just became that my thing was, okay, obviously I'm going to be the parent that is obviously going to have to be the responsible one and be considerate of the kids and think about the kids. So, I mean, it went fast. I knew the way it was going. Within 3 months, this woman was going to be living in that house with my name still on it. And that's exactly what happened. So I had to get used to, my kids, they like her. And I've kind of learned, especially after my lawyer, we have a mutual friend that handled our mediation. She informed me, you know what, I don't have a relationship with my ex-husband's new wife. As long as she's respectful of my kid, I don't have to worry about anything. She's made it a thing that she doesn't want to have a relationship. So I was just like, oh, you can do that? Okay, that's what I'll do. And there has been times that it's been hard. She has said things to my kids about me that this was one of the things I learned that was kind of a myth that was busted with divorce. I honestly thought, well, okay, we're getting a divorce, but we've known each other for 25 years. Oh. So we still have that relationship. So, if I'm hurt or something, like he'll listen. Now that doesn't happen anymore.
All bets are off. I'll give you an example. I was sitting in the emergency room at UNMH for an issue, and my ex-wife, they called my ex-wife without me knowing, for one thing.
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh no, it gets better. They said kill him while you're at it.
Oh wow.
Are you kidding?
I
wish I was.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. Yeah, okay. At least you win. At least it wasn't that. But I have to say, just the fact of knowing that she would tell my kids that we were in a loveless marriage, or that we, just think, it's like there was no, like, she didn't understand there's a line. Like you put yourself in this situation. You made the choice to date somebody who was going through a divorce that has kids. That's your choice. But to come to the person that he's divorcing and say, I feel that woman to woman, we need to sit down and figure out a way for this to work, because everybody deserves to be happy. This is the week I found out she even existed, and I'm still dealing with the divorce. But this is the person that he has chosen to date.
That takes balls.
Yeah. And so, it takes even more balls not to say what I wanted to say. Every time, there has been one time that I started writing an email. Like at least 5 paragraphs of really what I wanted to say. I had to get my best friend M to talk me down from sending it. I mean, it's moments like that I'm just like, I don't know about this dating thing. I don't know about it. But I mean, now I'm seeing somebody.
You know what my told me to do? He says, if you want to write something, send it to me first, and I'll think about sending it on.
Smart lawyer.
She actually went and told me, she's like, okay, you wrote it, go ahead and read it, and then delete it immediately. Do not send that. It was good that I did that.
We got a bunch of comments going over here.
It was an expensive lawyer, but well worth the money.
So Fiona wanted to say, Christine, your son is so loved by Betty. Yes.
I love the notion that like that's one of the things I know I really had to lean into community during that, which especially as a white guy who's used to being that bastion. My kids weren't used to walking in for breakfast and finding me crying on the kitchen floor, like leaning into the fact that, I have to trust that I'm not the only one who's holding these children. That's pretty special.
I have to say, I wish that I had that mind. I mean, I was crying in the shower, crying in my car because my mindset is like, my kids can't see this because I got to be the person that I still got to pay the bills. I still got to go to work. I still got to take them to school. Like I was like, nope, no time for crying unless I'm in the shower or in bed. I'll cry myself to sleep. But
there was a lot of that too.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that.
I have this like sense of guilt almost with people saying, or with like people calling me a single parent. I'm not a single parent. And I
say more.
Okay. I don't like that because I'm not a single parent. He pays child support. We co-parent as best we can. And not even that, I have this community. Like, I mean, I'm thankful, so thankful that, I forgot one kid had a doctor's appointment. I forgot the other two were coming to school and I forgot I had to take the other two home. And like, one of my friends was like, how are they getting home? And I was like, she's like, I got them. And so, I don't feel single. I'm not, I don't feel like I'm single. I don't feel like I'm doing this by myself.
Turns out the nuclear family bullshit is a lie to get us to buy shit. There's my Royce rant of the day.
That was Royce rant.
I was waiting for it.
But anyway, Susan, go. You're in a thing. I just couldn't pass that up. God.
I just don't know. I think it irks me, but I know everybody's situation is different. I am fortunate. Like, and then even, you talking about, I have this major sense of guilt that my ex-husband, he's 10 years older than me. So like I have this, and he's such an introvert and he's here from Brazil by him. Like he doesn't have any other family here except me and his kids. So I have this like huge sense of guilt that he's not going to find somebody else, that like his only thing, and that I've taken that away from him and I've taken this sense of comfort from him. And so I feel super guilty on a multitude of levels with that. So like, we're not, I got a good back massager that plugs in and I'm good. So like, like I'm not even in this zone of dealing with.
You can call it what it is, Susan.
Yeah, call it what it is, girl. You already brought up the B word. Like.
I got 2 good back massages as well.
All right. I also have to ask, like, how you're an amazing human. You do all this incredible shit. You're not God, Susan. Like, you're not responsible for his shit.
It's the control thing. I'm fighting through. It's the control thing. I know. And I am processing.
All right.
Processing all of that. I know. But it's
like, I know you can carry a lot of shit, but you don't need to carry all that.
Well, that's what I've been hearing for like 20 years, Like.
Yeah.
Royce had to point. Oh God, you got way too real with me. One day when my ex constantly would tell me, if we ever got a divorce, just don't keep my kids from me. Don't take my kids from me. It became such a mantra, like it stuck. And so when all this went down, my focus was like, whatever I need to do to get the kids to see their father, they need to see him. So much so that I would force them, like they might not have wanted to go see him, but I was like, you need to see your dad. You need to see your dad because it was important. But then I realized that I was getting back into that enabling state of, it can't be about him. It's about the kids. And so when certain decisions would start getting made, especially with our decree, he was just kind of like, well, I just don't like this. And I was just like, but this is what was signed. But I was so concerned about his feelings. Royce finally told me one day, he's just like, what's more important, his feelings or Frederick's safety or Abby's safety? Your kid's safety. That's the focus. That's the important thing. And I was just kind of like, damn, I went back into that. I went back in there and into that enabling stage.
And let's be clear. The only reason I know that stuff is because I felt guilty about because in order to take care of the kids, we followed my my spouse, Sarah, her job moved us cross country and I had full custody. And it was written right in the thing that it was understood that if we had to move out of state for work, that's the way it was going to roll. But I felt so guilty about all of that I forced the kids to do video chats consistently with their birth mom. And I'm not sure I won't say that I regret that because I still feel very strongly about having relationships I would hope that they would have relationships with her, but I want it to be on their terms and they're fulfilling, what they find fulfilling. I mean, okay, so I'm babbling about all this and you can tell it's still like, this is 13 years later. I haven't spoken to her in years. One of our children cut her off. But in the end, it's still, how do we support kids in doing what they need to do? And it's a big question, was making them have those video chats the right thing or wrong thing? I don't know. It wasn't till one of their therapists said, you're done doing that. They were like 14 or 15. No, they can make that decision for themselves. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad.
Then that brings me to this point that I got to ask, because I don't know. So this is also new. And there are times when we're trying to stick to a schedule of, he's got this weekend or hi, baby.
Oh my gosh. What a treat.
Love it.
I'm sorry.
No. Why?
Don't be sorry.
He's like, Mama, you've been gone for too long. Where are you?
That's what they do.
All right, Susan's got the
sorry.
Send us out.
No, that's okay. So trying to stick to this schedule and trying to if they do want to spend more time with him, then I make that happen. Yep. But then sometimes, they don't want to spend time with they'd rather stay with me, and I don't want to split them up. And part of that I think is like Christina talked about this before, and the sense of loneliness. There's a whole shift of getting them being gone and me being by myself that I don't know how to. That took a lot to I'm still learning what the hell that means. To be by myself, and we were this whole thing happened during COVID. So we were about 2 weeks. He lost his job about 2 weeks before we got on lockdown, and so then we were locked down together. After we'd already told the kids,
oh my God.
So we're locked down, and then the whole summer was locked down. The whole fall was locked down. We moved. He moved out in August. The divorce was final in September. I sold the house in December. One kid was quarantined over Thanksgiving, so he had two, and I was with one. And then we got them back, and then they all three got COVID, or two of them got COVID, but we were all quarantined together. And then then we were on quarantine. We got off quarantine Christmas Day, and so I took them to him Christmas Day, and they were gone for a week. And I was after I didn't have anything else to do, it was a huge mental setback for me to be by myself and to learn what that means, So I guess my thing is forcing them when they don't want to go. I still need them to go because I need to learn what it's like to be by myself.
Girl.
Yep.
Yes,
yep.
girl.
I feel guilty about it because sometimes they just don't want to.
You need your me time. You need your me time.
That's weird. I don't know what that's like. It's hard. That's hard to have.
Yeah.
I did learn the first time they were gone. I really, really wish I didn't have a full bottle of wine in my house when that happened. It was too quiet, and I had my thoughts, and it was just it was not a good night. But
this is mine.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "Hello, friend." So yeah, I get what you're saying, Susan. But as it goes on, because essentially you went through all that during COVID.
Yeah, and I'm a teacher, so I'm teaching virtually at home, and my kids are.
Oh my gosh! You will get to a point that you're going to be like, "Why was I so guilty about this?" You're going to get to it. You'll reach that point. You will reach that point.
I think what's really important too in that is when you're really uncomfortable with being alone, you're just with yourself. I think it's really important to ask yourself, why? Why am I so uncomfortable? There's a hidden gem. I like to call it, it's not really a gem, but it's there's a trauma wound there, right? Mm-hmm. Of why it makes you so uncomfortable to sit with yourself. What suppression what have you suppressed that you're not willing to face head on? And it's all of us go through it. I mean, I personally, it is so hard for me to receive love. Like I give it, like it's like it's a lottery. Like you want love, I got you. Like I just want to give it to everybody.
But don't send it this way. No.
She's the Oprah of love. She don't ever get back.
Yeah, but it's like the minute someone tries to pour it into me, I'm like, oh, uncomfortable, and I just want to deflect. But for me, there's something very hidden down there for me, and it's that, like, you know, I grew up in a very codependent home. My mother was someone that put her spouse before me growing up, and I don't think she did it deliberately. It was just her own trauma wound.
So as she was doing it.
Yeah, it's just what she knew. And I don't think I realized how impactful that was for me until now. So as you are, Susan, as you're talking about, like, how do I protect my child? Like, how do I protect my children from being separated? I will tell you, I was separated from my siblings. My parents divorced when I was 10. And my dad took 2 to the Philippines and my mom kept 2.
Oh, wow.
And then by the time I was 16, all my siblings were in the Philippines, and I was the only one here with a mom who I know loves me with all her heart. I know she does, but I always felt alone, always, because she always chose her dad over me. But my point is that we can only be responsible for so much. We can only hold on to so much. And if I'm okay and I'm figuring all this shit out, like eventually I think our children will too. And that's really part of their journey. That's part of their experience. And I think we can do everything in the world and think we're protecting them to the highest capacity of our being. And there will still be something along the lines that we are not present for, that they get pushed into. And that's part of their experience. That's what human experience is about.
I love what you're saying there, because so that's the phase that I'm in right now.
Okay.
You know, with like 20 and 22-year-old. And it's so, what's amazing is the more I let go, the more I actually get to see not just who they are and who they're choosing to be. And every now and then, oh, wow, I didn't even know that had happened. Oh my God, you poor child. The obvious failures of parenting on my part, duh. But also there's these moments when it also is this, you know, I had something to do with that. That as a parent, we don't get to, I never let myself experience, because I was so dead set on protecting and controlling, that now that that's relinquished, it's okay, you know, get to see this. I was deathly scared, like, even though I had full custody, I figured once the kids turned 18, they were going to leave. Like, and I was never going to get to talk to them again. Like, I was fully convinced that that's what was going to happen. Every fight during high school, that's what it was. And so the fact that, like, one of them's still living at home during COVID, the other just moved back out and relaunched during COVID, and that she comes home every Tuesday night for game night, it's kind of this miraculous thing. So I guess what I'm saying there is, like, don't underestimate kids. They are resilient little beings. There's a reason that our fucking species has persisted as much as it has.
Unfortunately, with a whole lot of trauma that none of us are willing to recognize.
And then there's that. But it really, it's been so neat to see some of those moments on the other side. So I guess there's the thing I'm enjoying right now. There's the real gratitude. You want a real gratitude? Yeah. That's what it is right there.
So we're going to flip through some of these comments.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so back to the Rio Rancho thing. It's on the other side of the world. I agree. I feel like 30 minutes is really 2.5 hours.
It's only 20 minutes without traffic.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, and then I don't know. And Fiona. Calling hi to Rio Rancho. That's why it's rumored to be a popular place to stash people for witness protection. That's hilarious.
Oh my God. I can't
I'm not in witness protection, I promise.
Oh my God, I love you, Liz.
I'm sure, the ouch, I'm sure was what I was, it was a big ouch. But yeah, we got a lot of comment, Lord. I'm wondering what period was for. So
that was Royce's comment to me about, the ouch was the back massager. or the Lord. I mean, the Lord was, I know my dog.
Back massager. I love this.
And then,
Back massager.
just want to say hey, hey to the baby boy. And a question
That was
for
such
you,
a precious
Christina.
moment.
Yes, Christina, how is your relationship with your siblings now?
Oh yeah.
Thankfully, because of social media, we were able, like when MySpace was a thing, you guys remember MySpace?
Oh my God.
I vaguely remember.
I'm putting myself out there, y'all.
This is the second week in a row that MySpace has come up on the show. Yep. I'm a little freaked out right now, but anyway, continue.
Yeah, but because of social media, like we've done our best to keep going, but we did go a full 10 years before we were all together at the same place at one time, and that was celebrated back in 2000 and I want to say 12. So we went a full 10 years without all of us being together at once. And now with social media and FaceTime and all this stuff, we do a really good job of just calling whenever we're available. And we have a group chat on Facebook Messenger, and we'll all, whenever anybody can be available, we just jump on. So thankfully, we're still as close as we can be. But my sister, I bring this up just because we were talking about trauma. She's now just starting to realize some of the things that we dealt with as child that she suppressed her whole life. And so that's what's been coming up lately. So it's really, because I'm in my own journey, it feels good to be support, because I was never really able to be the older sister, and it's really strong in our culture. Filipino culture is when you're the older sibling, you carry a lot of weight, you're the example, you get to take care of everybody, and I never got that. And that's something that I really crave. So it's this just goes to show that, time, you never know with time, but all you have is now. So it's how are we making that happen in the moment? So I'm really grateful for where we're at. Thanks for asking that question.
So being that we all have our traumas and still having, honestly, it's a continuous learning.
I love this munchkin. Oh my gosh.
The question I would ask is, would you get married again? Royce already, good for you.
Well, okay, so
you got a good one. You got a good one.
So that whole thing is really interesting, because I did not want to date. She was asking me out a month after my first had left, and I was just traumatized as hell and saying no to relationship. And saying yes to everything else, because I was just I got to say yes and just find out what the hell, life is about. But I really, part of me wishes that I'd had the time alone, that I'd taken the time alone. And at the same time, I love this relationship. This is amazing. Also, if this relationship ended, would I ever get married again? Nope. Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry. Yeah, wait. What are you gonna say, Christina?
I think at the end of the day, what I've discovered about my divorce is that it's just a business transaction for the state. That's literally how I feel about it in my heart, because everything that's involved with it, it's
Preach.
Why did I even go through all of this just so this other? And I'm not even getting child support, nothing like that, but I just feel it's just a way for the state to make more money. If you have a union with someone and you really love them, I don't think a marriage should have to be pushed on anyone. And a lot of the times I think marriage has become a checkbox for society. It's especially in the support of if you come from a religious background, it's a necessity. And I used to be a very devout Christian, which is something that pulled our marriage apart, was because I walked away from our faith. And I look at that, I'm why? Why did I do all of that? And for what? For what? Because now I'm in a different partnership, right? Dating after divorce. And it's just different. It's so different. And I don't feel the need to have to spend thousands of dollars on another wedding. It's let's save that. Let's put it on something practical, like a home, or pay off some debt or something. I don't know. I just think that the resources could be used
10
in such a
years worth
different
of
way.
vacations.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like whatever it is for you. But for me, definitely no. And I could see maybe in the future, like having like a cute, like little ceremony to like solidify love, like spiritually, because that's just like a feel good thing. But like it would not be because like I needed to check a box or, you know.
I think you're touching on like the one legitimate part of a marriage ceremony to me, which is and this, Sarah and I were deliberate about this in our thing, and that was to turn to the community and say, will you participate in this relationship? You know, that sets up that you are the community of witnesses, accountability, and love and support. And so are there times when it's nice to have, you know, a coming together that is acknowledged and blessed and supported by a community? Of course. And is there a place for that? I hope so. I just, like you said, it just shouldn't be something that has nothing but tax incentives to keep it going. I love what you just said. Like, you just put your finger on like the one thing that like, yeah, like that's pretty important.
Yeah. Like you're telling me I have to, in order to leave the person that I'm no longer aligned with, that I have to pay you to legally, like what?
Nope.
Like this has nothing to do with like, yeah, that blew me away. All that stuff. I'm just like, nope, this ain't happening again because this is crazy.
What about you, Mark?
Oh, which part?
Would you ever get married again?
Would you ever get married again?
I'll touch on it this way. I gave myself a 6-month moratorium, and I specifically called it a moratorium, from when my divorce ended to when I would let myself open myself up again. Ironically, I met my now wife 5 months after I divorced my first one. But this was so much more different. I mean, there was the woman I married is a saint. She was a nanny at the time. And I said to myself, I was like, yeah, she'd be really good with kids. She'd be really good with kids, you know, just kind of a random thought in the back of the head. And we just kind of did it. And a lot of people just kind of looked at us like, oh. But ironically, I've been with her now pushing 11 years.
Yeah. No. Really?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Teresa, don't do the math on how long you've known him.
Oh my God. This is like when I see kids, like my friends' kids, and they're like graduating from fucking high school. And I'm like, no, that's not right. They were 5. They're 5. Why are you showing me pictures?
They're still 5.
They're 5.
That's a stranger.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You bring up such a good point though, Mark, because I feel like when it comes to like meeting someone new, there's no really time frame on what that looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
Really. I mean,
yeah, and that's exactly right.
Yeah. When you go through a divorce,
I mean,
like you know that you wanted that for a long time. So you're ready for love. Like you're ready to accept something beautiful into your life. So
well, I mean, the funny thing is my wife is 4'11". I'm 6'3". You do the math.
Y'all are adorable.
You know, she's tolerated all of my bullshit. All of it. Oh my Lord. This woman deserves like a Nobel Prize or sainthood or whichever one you want to pick. You know,
it's so real.
It is.
I mean, it was good. I mean, the thing is that she, it's to that point where I couldn't put words to it right now.
You could tell. It's like you're taking a breath, like just try to Muster up. Jeez. Wow.
I mean, we've had two amazing kids. After two, it was like, they're 9, both boys, 9 and 5. They're both autistic on the spectrum. So I get where you're coming from when you talk about ADHD and whatnot.
Yep.
I feel your pain. You probably feel mine. Let's get that structure thing. Yeah. Oh my God. It's disgusting. It's disgusting, but useful.
Yep.
So I'm conscious of time here.
Yep. I'm sorry.
I'm realizing.
Yeah, because I knew this one was going to run long. I already knew. Susan,
but did we tell Susan? Because she's Eastern time and it's 9:30 where she is now.
Susan, to answer, would you take the plunge again?
I don't know. I don't know.
She's open to possibility.
I'm good with being where I am right now, and that's all I want to focus on right now.
Exactly.
That's good.
Bam!
That's good.
I love that for you. Yes.
Now I'll rephrase the question for me. Would I do it? Would I do it again after this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Hopefully this is it, Marc. Hopefully this is it.
And the reason I say that, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible, it's just what I know now versus what I knew then. And it's no, I couldn't do it. I'll tell you exactly what I would do. I would go buy one of those conversion vans, fix it up, go live on it somewhere and like on BLM land.
That's what I would do. Just wanted to throw out the comment from Jason. Thank you, Christina. MySpace was a shit, by the way.
It was a shit. I don't know if it was B shit.
Dude, I loved it. You could customize all the things, music. Yeah.
And Fiona has to say, Tina, I'm so proud that you took legit time for yourself before sharing your heart again.
Thank you, Mama. Yep. I love you.
So that's why she loves it so much, Susan. You're doing a good thing. Focus on you.
Yes.
Your wisdom there in both like being like, well, I don't have to answer that, like I just know where I'm at. Just brilliant. Brilliant.
So I'm gonna. Sorry, Susan. Go ahead.
I was just saying it's a lot of work. I'm over here looking at like my collection of like work that I'm like making.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I just want to end the show with our last question by playing this video before I ask it. And our guests have seen this. So for our viewers out there, this was a video that I saw just as I separated, was going through the divorce and kind of going through the whole
I thought we were using this to introduce the
No, this is to end it.
This is our conclusion. All right. I'm down.
So this was a video, Red Table Talks. If you haven't seen it, awesome show. Jada Pinkett Smith, awesome. But this was, they had Toni Braxton on to speak about her divorce, and she said something that really resonated. So here it is.
What would you say that you've learned most out of that whole journey with Carrie, from the dissolve, the divorce, and then the recreation of
the relationship? Yeah. Well, I'm still learning, but what I think I've learned most is that surrendering doesn't always mean defeat. We will always have our children together. It was a successful marriage. The relationship lasted 12 years, and that's what it was supposed to be.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be infinity. He's in my life for infinity forever. But that stage of the relationship does not define who I will be in the future.
So the last question I would ask for tonight is, what have you learned on your journey of divorce?
When you're on a plane and they tell you the whole put your mask on first before you put everybody else, your kids, like, I think that's what I've learned. That I mean, I know it's cliche that we say it, that like you have to take care of yourself first, but like until you totally believe that and you see it and you find yourself worthy enough to do that, then everything else will fall into place. And like it's shit and it hurts, and I've hurt people. I know I've hurt people. I've hurt my kids and I've hurt people I love, but you got to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
And it's so, when you say that, like that's so huge. The other thing is that it's so important for us to do that as parents, because when we don't take care of ourselves, it calls the child into the parental role to take care of us. And when they see us regularly taking care of us, even when we break in front of them, they know that we're going to be okay. So it's such a shit I wish I'd known 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Preach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your mask on first.
Yeah. Put your own mask on first.
What have I taken from it?
Mm-hmm.
I've taken a lot of gray hair. I've taken a rebuild of my sanity, realizing that I had to sit there and go have fun for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Work was my therapy. And just being around people. And the thing is that when you go through it, you know the people, you know who the people are that are your people. You know, they will leave you a Facebook message. They will send you a text, give you a call just to say what's up. And you need to, it's kind of like a bad kidney stone. This too shall pass. However, my kidney stone was about yay big.
Yeah.
What about you, Christina?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this is a really heavy loaded question, because I think I've grown so much just for taking a stand in my own truth. And I think that was the biggest thing, is just being able to trust myself, because that's another narrative that I've played my whole life, is I can't trust myself because I wasn't good enough to trust myself. I didn't make good decisions. You know, I was grounded all the time when I was young. So like now it's like, wow, like I did this. I am capable, and the possibilities that you can create in that, I think, is powerful. So I think the resilience, the intuition, and the ability to trust myself was the biggest lesson that I took away from it. And I'm so grateful, because it made me look inside, man. Because when I talk about responsibility, like I got to really see how I was responsible for everything that went down in that marriage. Not to say that he didn't have his part, but I'm not here to place blame. I'm here to be fully in responsibility of what it is that I created, and I just all of that.
Yeah. Teresa, how you doing?
Everything you guys have said, like I've touched on, like at least one thing each person has said. Funny enough, I have learned that I lost myself. And it is funny, you don't know when it happens, because you're so caught up on being the perfect wife, and then when you have kids, being the perfect mom and balancing everything, that there's that moment where you look in the mirror and go, where am I? And I have to say, I learned how to put me first again, and knowing that it's not a selfish thing to do so, because if I don't, then I'm not good for my kids. I'm not good for anybody. So it's an important thing to have those moments that you have time for yourself, so you can be good for everyone else. And, it's funny as we sit here and talk about like the trials and tribulations we went through. Like I still sit here and and go that, I know that this marriage was meant for me to have these wonderful kids with this man. And that's what I got out. I have 3 wonderful kids. I couldn't ask for anything more. So I know that at least there, that was one good thing that came out of it. And I know there's going to be more fighting and more arguments and disagreements, but I do feel like there will be a moment where it feels like we got it together. Just now, it's just messy as fuck. But I feel like there will be a moment. At least that's all I could hope for at this moment. Is that moment will happen, and our kids will. Excuse me. That our kids will come out of this stronger. Because I know I hope I will.
You already are.
Yes, you are. You are a badass.
You already are, girl.
You all are badasses. You all are badasses.
And it's I love that that's where we're at, because that's also where our comments are at. Jason saying thank you everyone for sharing your stories. Shayla,
yeah.
Okay. Amazing job, Mama.
Oh, so sweet.
I love these personal shout outs. Like, it's just so beautiful. And Fiona, y'all are amazing people. Loved all of you. Thank you, my friend. Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's the big meta, don't do it without community, y'all. Like, why do life without community? Any part of life.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
That's it, yeah. Thank you, everyone,
Yes,
for joining us. I know this wasn't easy, but we appreciate you being vulnerable with us.
And now on to the next phase where we get a vulnerability hangover tomorrow.
Yay!
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, that last one lasted at least 3 days. This is gonna be great.
Our vaginas are fine. The other B word's still good. So.
Anyway. So thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight on Where's Your Heart? We will see you next week. Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Night all.